Okay, we're top of the hour. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Jorgens, Director of Marketing at Endeavour Solutions and GP Support North. Today's presentation, we're going to look at Business Central and specifically warehouse and barcoding and manufacturing automation with our friends at InsightWorks. Our agenda is to look at some mobile devices, end-to-end shipping, production schedules, as well as some free apps that InsightWorks and we recommend and use at a number of our clients. We definitely appreciate free is a good price. And they're not just freemium, they really are just free apps. And then there's our bigger, better options available on a paid side. Quick announcements for those that are on Dynamics GP. There's a new version coming out in October of this year, and we're really excited about that. The GP roadmap is still going to 2028 and beyond. And for those that are looking to migrate to the cloud, either off of Dynamics GP or Dynamics Nav or are on other systems, today we're going to look at Business Central, what Business Central looks like, and specifically how we can use a number of the warehouse automation apps from our friends at InsightWorks. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Mark Hamill at InsightWorks. And Mark, I'm going to make you presenter, and we can take off my camera and have you share your screen.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'm going to jump in here and share. Excellent.
I can see it.
So, excellent. So what we're going to do today, as Scott said, is go through some of those applications, but just a quick intro on who we are. So this. All right. So a little bit about InsightWorks. So we've been around for just over 10 years now. We work primarily in the manufacturing and distribution industries, and now we're moving into retail a little bit as well. But we provide all the applications required to sort of run your manufacturing and distribution businesses from within Business Central. Now, Business Central has a good base there. We add a lot of functionality that you might need to take it to that next level. So all of these applications on the side here that I'll get into in a sec are ones that really extend Business Central to do more of what you need in those industries. So we are based out here in Western Canada, but we do have offices in Europe and in the United States, and we do work globally. And we work with Endeavour to deliver all of these solutions, both the free ones and the paid ones, to you. All right. Now, with that, let's talk a little bit about the free applications. So I'm going to go through some of the the subscription ones that you saw on the previous screen, which I didn't really get into, but anything to do with manufacturing distribution. But these free apps are kind of nice because if you're on the Business Central Cloud version, you get all of these for free. You can just install them from App Source, plug them in, and get going. You don't need to talk to us, register, any of that kind of stuff. So the first one here, Graphical Scheduler, that allows me to drag and drop production orders or assembly orders or really any data within the system. So it's really meant for production, but you can plot whatever you like in it. You can plot to-dos or custom tables or whatever you want to do within that system. And then we've got some cloud print capability and some data migration capabilities. And then barcode generator you'll see throughout the presentation because we'll be using the barcodes that are printed from within Business Central. So there's no external software required to print labels or reports or anything like that. You can do that all from within Business Central using the barcode generator. And then a few others down here. I'll just mention the doc extender. That's really nice to have. It's just drag and drop document management. You don't have to click anything or open any windows. You want to drag an email into Business Central or a file or whatever. You can drag and drop, and we'll store that in Business Central, or we'll store that in SharePoint on the cloud. So you can trigger workflows and alerts and all sorts of stuff with that. So you get a pretty comprehensive document management solution with Doc Extender and SharePoint combined. And then Ordership Express you'll see today, it's shipping. So the application is free, and you bring your own carriers, your own carrier accounts, and you can generate shipping labels. So if you're doing UPS or FedEx or Purelator or whatever you happen to be doing, you can go out there, bring those in, generate your shipping labels right from within Business Central, and it doesn't cost you anything for the software whatsoever. And then same thing with WMS Express, that's for warehouse management. If you need to do barcoding, you've got the ability to use this WMS Express product, which for 75% of the people, that's probably all you need. If all you really need in your environment are the core warehouse needs like receiving or picking or shipping, bin movements and inventory counts, WMS Express does all that, and it's really all you'll need to do barcoding within your warehouse or your facility, your retail store, whatever you happen to be working in. All right, now with that, I'm going to actually jump in, and we're going to jump right into the demo and see what we can do for sort of an end-to-end overview of what you can do within Business Central with InsightWorks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into sales and just briefly talk about what we can do there. So I'm going to come into the sales orders here, and I'm just going to grab sort of an existing sales order for fun instead of creating a new one. So here's my sales order in Business Central, and you can see I've got a configured product here. So we do actually have a configurator. I'm not going to get into this in a lot of detail, but we do have the ability to come in and build configured products using rules and choices and everything that you define. So for example, here, if I choose a different type of handlebars for this bicycle, it'll prompt me, it'll upsell, it'll do all sorts of fun stuff, calculate out my price for me, and add that into the sales order for me automatically and everything else. So if you do sell configurable products, those sorts of things, then that configurator is really nice. But a couple of other things, I'm not going to get into that in too much detail beyond that. If you have questions about any of this, you can ask your Endeavour rep, they'll be able to help you out. But I mentioned doc extender, that's this guy over here. So again, if I need to drag and drop emails or whatever I want, files, those sorts of things, I can simply come in, grab a document, drag it over, drop it, and it uploads and brings it in, and I'm good to go. Okay? And it can store it in SharePoint or right here in Business Central as well. So it makes it very easy to drag and drop it in the system. Now let's say I've created this order, I've drag and dropped the PO acknowledgement from my customer in here. Now I maybe want to print a pick ticket or a PO or whatever. I'm just going to do a pick instruction here real quick just to illustrate a couple of little things. So the first one here is this printer that's selected here. That's my warehouse printer. When I hit print, I'm not going to see any other user interface or anything else. It's going to go directly to this warehouse printer. And that's because we're using our print node connector for cloud printing. So what that will do is allow me to hit print, no additional user interaction, and then that report and maybe some labels or anything else that I might want to print will head out immediately to this printer. And I'm just going to hit print preview here just for a sec to show you one other little thing. This particular report has a barcode up at the top that I can scan with a handheld device or whatever I happen to be using. And this happens to be what we call a data matrix barcode, a square barcode, but you can have any barcode format you want, and you can put it down here on the lines or whatever you want to do. But this is from our barcode generator tool. So that allows us to go in and add barcodes to documents or print labels or whatever we like. So again, the doc extender that you see here, the print node connector for cloud printing, and that barcode generator, those are all some of our free tools that you have access to. All right, now I've got the sales order in place, right? I've created this custom item here, or entered some standard items. I've maybe dragged and dropped some stuff. I've printed some things. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. And now what I need to do is I need to do a little bit of planning to plan my replenishment and my manufacturing of that product. So we have an enhanced planning pack that allows us to do forecasting. So we can do sales forecasting based on historical information. We can do, DC, distribution center purchasing. So if you're running a DC, the standard Business Central planning stuff doesn't quite work for that. We have specific logic that'll help you plan your DC purchasing by, buyer and vendor and all those sorts of things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the planning worksheet here, this enhanced planning worksheet. And what this will allow us to do, and I'm just actually going to, I think, change my date here because all of my demo data is the Microsoft demo data, which ends up being in 2020. And so that is not going to help if I'm in 2022 here. So I'm just changing my date so we can sort of see the demo data as for that date. Now what we've got here is I've come in and I've got, it's like the planning worksheet within Business Central. I've got a few different batches here. But what this does, when we come in and run this, either the purchase plan for distribution center or the regenerative plan if you're doing manufacturing, it'll come in and generate a list of supply records for our demand. So what it's doing is it's going out there looking at all our demand in the system, sales demand, forecast demand, everything else, and coming up with what we need to manufacture or purchase to meet that demand. And so over here, it tells me what I need to do. And it gives me, information on my, supply demand profile, how many I've got coming in and how many are going out, right? So my demand is 2, my supply is 5. It's going to leave me a surplus of 3. That might not be good, might be. We can look at other location inventory. So maybe I don't want to manufacture this, right? This one happens to be a manufactured item. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to just transfer it in from one of the other locations that might have stock. And if we're doing purchasing, like if I choose this one here where I'm purchasing from this vendor, it gives me a vendor's level overview by purchaser. So as a purchaser, if I'm looking after this vendor and maybe a couple of others, I've got a dashboard that I can look at to see what my planned spend is for those specific vendors. So it's great again for the distribution planning and things like that. Or if you've got one person buying raw materials and another person buying everything else, you can kind of manage it at that vendor level. So this gives me my total spend right now and what I need to spend to actually get prepaid freight or discounts, either by dollar amount or by weight. And I can use that to plan my purchasing at that vendor level. Now, so all of this good stuff that tells you what you need to do to manage your purchasing or your production. I can also come in here and look at things a little more graphically. So I come in here and this is telling me, I need 50, but if I look historically at what I've got, over time, I can see I never actually need more than, a dozen maybe or so a month. I can decide, well, that doesn't make sense. So this is a nice quick visual check to make sure that what it's asking me to do makes sense. And if I don't think it makes sense, I can immediately drop down here into planning and make those adjustments right here. So it's a very good tool for figuring out, what you can do or, what the system needs you to do to meet your replenishment goals, automatically calculate that. And then when you're done, you just sort of accept this action message and say, carry out my action messages or create my POs, and it'll automatically generate all my production demand or supply, and all my purchase supply and everything else, just like that. Okay, so the enhanced planning worksheet, really nice tool for helping your planners figure out what you're supposed to do. And that includes, again, purchasers, buyers in distribution centers and more warehouse-oriented environments, and also in manufacturing environments. So let's say I go through this, I run this plan, do it all, I've calculated all my purchase orders, I've generated the POs, everything else, and now those purchase orders are starting to arrive. So now we're finally going to get into the barcoding portion of it, where I'm going to actually come in on the warehouse side and start receiving some of those POs and doing other things with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show my webcam here real quick. So what you see, this is my desk, and this is the handheld that I'll be using to go through the demo. And there's a couple others here. This is the WMS Express, so you can see, it's a little more limited than the full Warehouse Insight just by the number of icons. But that's WMS Express, which again, you can install, you can run it on a phone and use the little camera button there to scan your barcodes if you like. But this tool is free. You can buy a little device like this with a scanner on it, for about $700 or so, and you've got your barcoding needs met within Business Central for the most part. And just another example of device. This one's got a pistol grip and everything else. But I'll be using this guy here to do my scanning. And just so you can see the screen better, I'm just going to bring the screen up on this side here, so you can see the screen. As I touch it, you'll see it update over here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through and do a little bit on the receiving side. But before that, I'll give you a quick overview of some of these. So pretty much anything that you need to do in the warehouse, you can do from these handheld devices. All of these applications relate to something back in Business Central. So item inquiry, I can scan a barcode, that could be a serial number, lot number, whatever. and it will tell me about that item. So you can use any barcodes you want. They can be vendor barcodes, manufacturer barcodes, your own custom barcodes. Doesn't matter what's in them. We can use those and tell you what they are and receive them and ship them and all those sorts of things. The same thing with bin inquiry. I can scan that and a few other things. Now, inventory count, we've got an advanced count module for doing cycle counting and full physical counts. It's very robust, way better than what's in standard Business Central, and also better than what's in a lot of systems overall. On the receiving side, I've got two-stage receiving set up. I can receive and then put away, but if you're in an environment where you're just receiving against POs directly and you don't have any of the warehouse stuff turned on, like putaways, that's fine. You can do that, either with WMS Express or the full warehouse insight. You can use any configuration you like. You figure out what your best practice physical process is, right? Do I want to, first receive everything and then after a while go and do a secondary activity to put away? Or do I want to receive right against the purchase order? Or do I want to put away while I'm receiving? You decide all that, and then you set the system up to match that process. Same thing here on pick. I've got two-stage picking turned on, so I pick everything and then I drop it off at shipping for somebody to package up or wrap up the pallet and get it out the door. We can move stuff around in the warehouse with movement options, and we can also do production activities. So on the full warehouse insight, we can do consumption, output, and assembly orders. So we can do all of those sorts of production activities as well. So a lot of people run this on a tablet, at their lines, or production lines, or at specific work centers to record their output or to manually record consumption. So you could run this on a tablet on a fixed terminal and do all of that by the workstation. And license plating is used primarily for outbound processing, but anytime you need to build up a mixed pallet or a mixed box of products, so different lot numbers or serial numbers or items in a box or a pallet, you can use license plating to track that information. And then I've got a single barcode to scan to reference everything within that pallet or box or whatever. So very handy for outbound processing, where I might be walking down the aisle with a pallet jack or driving with a forklift and building up a pallet as I go. Well, I can be building up that license plate while I'm picking. When I get over to shipping, I know how many pallets or boxes I have. I know what's in each one. I can print a bill of lading or send it out for ASN or whatever I need to do with that information. All right. Anyway, that said, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into receiving, because again, we created the sales order. We had some demand, then we went to the planning worksheet, figured out what we needed to buy or manufacture to support that sales demand. And now we've got some purchase orders coming in the door. I'll just put this over so it doesn't distract me. We get some purchase orders coming in the door, and now we need to receive them. So when I open up the receiving app, oh, and by the way, all of those applications are managed inside Business Central. So if you want to create your own custom applications, we have an application wizard and an application designer. You can create your own mobile applications on these devices and run them anywhere. Okay, so that's wide open. Endeavour can do it, we can do it, or if you have the skill set internally, you can do that yourself. All right, now back to receiving. So what I've got here is I've got a list of the purchase orders and the vendors in the system, but I can make any data I want visible on the screen. So if I hit choose columns, all of this stuff again is set in Business Central. There's no separate database that we run or anything else. All is managed inside Business Central. So if I want to show additional information in here, I can set that up in Business Central, or I can do it on a per user, per scanner basis, right? Like if I wanted to see, the expected receipt date here, this due date, I could make that visible and those sorts of things. Okay. But anyway, the view I've got the PO number and the vendor name in here, and I can select a PO to start. So typically, I'm at the back door, I've got the vendor's packing slip in my hand, it's got my PO number on it, I can choose the PO and go, or I could, come in here and type part of the PO and filter it, that kind of stuff if I like. In my case, I'm just going to choose this PO 003, hit enter on my physical keypad, and it's going to open up that PO and let me start receiving. Now, this actually created a warehouse receipt. So if you know what a warehouse receipt is, well, if you don't know what it is, just ignore what I'm saying. But if you know what it is, what I can do is I can actually combine multiple purchase orders on a single receipt. So let's say that vendor shipped me a container or shipped me a pallet that's comprised of 4 or 5 different purchase orders. No problem. I can list all of those on the screen at the same time and receive them without caring which PO each item is related to. Now at this point, the ideal situation is your vendor or manufacturer has barcoded everything for you already, and I can just start scanning. If they haven't and you need to generate your own barcodes, I can actually do that from the handheld device. So I can hit this print action here, and I can print whatever I like. So labels, reports, whatever I want to do, I can print from the handheld device. Or I could set it up so that after I enter a quantity, like I could just choose one of these items here manually, either hit enter on my keypad or use the the menu to enter. And normally you almost never have to touch the screen with the system. I'm touching the screen to show you a bunch of stuff, but you can set up hotkeys and all sorts of stuff so that all you have to deal with is the physical keypad. Anyway, I can hit enter or use the change quantity, type in a quantity to receive without scanning anything, and then have it print the label after I've entered a quantity. So you've got a lot of options for how you do barcoding. But assuming everything is barcoded, I can just start scanning at this point, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a sheet of barcodes here, and again, these are those data matrix codes I mentioned earlier. And this report is generated again from our barcode generator. It's a sample barcode list, which is great for testing and demos and all sorts of good stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan these barcodes for receiving. So I'll scan this top one here, this 1908-S. That's this item that's on the line above what I have highlighted. And when I do that, what it does is it finds that item, optionally shows me a picture of that item for whatever time period you specify. And that's handy if you are doing your own barcoding, right? If it shows me a picture of a blue chair there and I've got, whatever, a pair of socks or something in my hand, I know I've got a problem with the barcode or the data or something like that, and I can correct it right there without screwing things up. At any rate, at this point now I simply enter how many I found maybe in that box, so let's say 14. And what it does is it's updated Business Central. This device here is connected up to my Business Central cloud instance. So it's updated Business Central immediately with that quantity of 14 and tells me I have 7 left in this purchase receipt to find. Later on, if I find more of those guys, I'll scan it again. And let's say I found 2 this time on this box, and it's just going to keep reducing that quantity and incrementing this quantity. So that's really all there is for that receiving. I scan a barcode, optionally enter a quantity, and away I go. And by the way, I say optionally because when we scan those barcodes, that default quantity could be anything we like. It could be the remaining quantity, it could be 0, so we always have to type something in. It could be a quantity of 1 and we don't even show that screen, which means I'd have to scan this thing 5 more times to receive those 5. There's all sorts of things you can set up there. Similarly with the unit of measure, you can go in and set up defaults for the units of measure and everything else. Let's see, do I have another one that's, I'll scan that 1964 guy there just for fun and bring it up. Because you can do, different units of measure. Like if I had multiple units of measure, I could choose alternate units of measure. We can default in the unit of measure all kinds of stuff there. All right. And if you're dealing with lot numbers or serial numbers, we handle those, of course, throughout the system. And this applies to both WMS Express and Warehouse Insight. So the barcode I just scanned, I should mention, does have the lot number in it as well. So because I have that lot number and item number in it, it brings in that lot number for me automatically. So now I don't have to scan anything else. It's got everything I need. I can just enter the quantity as an option and I'm good to go. So essentially everything on the screen could have been in that barcode. The lot number, expiration date, quantity, unit of measure, we can encode all of that in a barcode. So I've got one scan to bring everything in. And we can extend this if you want country of origin or any additional fields in here. That's just configuration within Business Central really to add those fields onto this quantity dialog. All right, and one other quick thing on serial numbers and lot numbers, if I wanted to do a quality check as it comes in, I can come in, set whatever data I want here. You have full flexibility. You can add whatever fields you want into the screen to capture additional information as you're receiving as well. All right, so that's basically it. I'll just receive all 100 of those, and it will track those lot numbers. I can receive multiple lot numbers, multiple serial numbers, all those sorts of things in the system. So pretty simple. Well, and by the way, if I didn't have that lot number in the barcode, it would just highlight that lot number field. I can either scan a secondary barcode for that lot number, manually type it in, or if you want to get fancy, we've got scanners that I can scan a printed lot number and it'll OCR that data and bring it in as fast as a barcode. Okay. Now that's really it for receiving. Scan a barcode, optionally enter quantity, or again, if you don't have barcodes, I could just select a line, hit enter, type in the quantity, and print now. It could be printing out labels if you wanted to set that up. Okay. Or I just leave it at that because maybe that's an item I'm never ever going to barcode. So that's really it. Now, when I leave the screen, we can actually post the receipt, or you can set it up to manually post that receipt, you know, after I'm done scanning everything or entering all the information. You can also disable this menu because you have full control over the menus and everything else if you don't want specific people posting. Okay. The other thing I'll mention while I'm down here, well, two other things, that license plating where I can build up, you know, mixed pallets of items and things like that while I'm receiving. Again, I can do this pretty much anywhere in the system, picking, receiving, whatever I like. But down here is an interesting one where I can actually take a picture, right? So I can come in here, let's say I get damaged product or the wrong product or whatever it happens to be. I can take photos of that, and that'll automatically upload and attach to the purchase order in Business Central. So now the purchaser has what they need to start a claim with the vendor or the carrier or whatever it happens to be, right? I scan a barcode, it says, hey, that item's not on this PO, which means they shipped me the wrong thing. I take a bunch of photos, they're on the purchase order, we know how to deal with it. That take picture capability is available throughout the system. We typically see it at receiving for damaged product, and then also at shipping when you send pallets out the door. You know, if something gets damaged, you've got proof it left in good shape. We're taking photos of paper documents that come in, right? So you've got a signed packing slip or something like that. You take photos of that, and now you've got an electronic version of that document. All right, so that's basically it for receiving. I've scanned everything in. I've you know, posted it potentially, and I've got that stuff in. Now we've got enough that we can actually start our production activities. So I'm going to go back into, you know, Business Central here, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. Well, one, I'm actually just going to go into here, and I'm going to show you the graphical scheduler first, because this is the free tool. So graphical scheduler allows you to go in, and the default behavior is it's going to show you, you know, your production orders. So these are all my production orders, you know, plotted in the system. This is the Microsoft demo data. So I can see, you know, kind of like a, you know, Gantt view of that production activity. And I can drag and drop, so I can move this to different work centers or change dates and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to reschedule that specific order and that sort of thing. And you can set up color rules, like this guy is late, so we've changed him to red, those sorts of things. So you can set up, you know, all sorts of colors, and you can plot whatever information you want on this. I could have 10 different things on here. I could show you my purchase order receipts plotted on the same chart as my production orders if I want, or my pick tickets or whatever I like. So that, again, that's the free tool, and you can come in and create whatever view you like. It also has things like pick assignments, where if you're using the warehouse picks, you can actually drag and drop your pick tickets to employees and you know, estimate the time it takes for picking, all of those sorts of things to manage a picking schedule. So you've got all these capabilities built into the graphical scheduler, and it is all free to use. The problem is, you know, this looks great when we're dealing with a few production orders. If you've got hundreds of production orders or hundreds of operations, this becomes tough to manage manually. We don't want somebody sitting there for 2 hours a day dragging and dropping, trying to find a hole in, you know, in the production or looking for overloaded work centers and things like that. We want that a lot more automated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a better way to schedule. So first of all, here I'm going to go into the graphical scheduler in this company. And this company does have a number of additional production orders. So this is the same graphical scheduler that I just showed you. But what it's got now is it's got a bunch of orders that were in the forecast. So when we generate the production orders, the way Business Central has scheduled it is it's scheduled, for example, on my laser cutter here, everything's going to run on the same day. Well, that's not a schedule I can give to the shop, right? That's not going to work. It's telling me Friday afternoon, do all of this stuff. Well, that's not going to work. What I really need is all of this stuff that's scheduled for laser cutting. I need to determine which machine it's going to run on. So I could come in here and drag and drop all of these things onto the individual machine I want to use and that sort of thing. But that would be pretty terrible. I don't want to do that every day. Oh, and by the way, the colors up here in this bar, this is my work center loading. So again, you can plot wherever you want. I just added this in and I set my own color rules, like, you know, red is overloaded, you know, orange is underloaded, and blue is average or whatever. But you can set all that up. That's just configuration in the views, and you can change your zoom and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, this is what you know, Business Central has generated for a schedule, because it just backwards schedules from the due date. So it's taken my forecast date, my weekly forecast, backwards scheduled, and I don't have a schedule I can actually execute. So what we do instead is we go in to our advanced planning and scheduling, our automated production schedule. And I'm going to say I'm going to run this schedule for, let's pretend this is today at, let's do it at 8 a.m. We're going to start our schedule at 8 a.m. I'm going to schedule out for the next 30 days, and there's a bunch of other stuff I can do here, but I'm going to leave it at that. And this is going to schedule all my production orders, my firm plan, my released, any of those sorts of things, unless I filter those out. And we're going to schedule it as unlocked. So I'm just going to run this generate schedule. And normally I don't do this. It takes, in the demo environment, it takes about 15 seconds to run the schedule. In the real world, if you've got 1,000 production orders in the system, it probably takes, 3 or 4 minutes to run the production schedule. So a lot faster than MRP. We'll just see how quickly the demo environment runs here. It usually takes about 15 seconds to schedule all my production orders, and then we're going to see the results here real quick. And now what it's doing when it does this, instead of backwards scheduling based on the due date, it's going to take my start date, as in tomorrow morning, and it's going to tell me, okay, this is all the work you need to start tomorrow morning, and this is when it's going to be done, right? It's not going to tell me to start something in the past because the due date was tomorrow, and I have to start in the past to finish it. It's going to start tomorrow and work out forward scheduling and tell me when I can complete those orders. And on top of that, what it's doing is it's looking at my capacity constraints, my labor constraints, my material constraints, all of that kind of stuff to generate the schedule for me. And you can see here, here's my result. It's telling me it's scheduled 62 orders, and 4 of those are going to be late, and 47 are early, and 11 are going to be on time. So it actually will tell me which orders are going to be late, and I can use this to do a couple of different things. I can go back into the sales orders and tell the customer I can't deliver these on time, or I could do a what-if scenario. I could say, what if I had a second shift, or what if I, outsource some of this manufacturing? Can I improve that? But really, what we want to do is a couple of things here. We can drill down into this and see, the detailed schedule that tells us, by work center, by minute, what needs to be scheduled. But typically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the graphical view of this. So I come in here, look at the graphical view, set to load, and this is the same information that we saw before. The difference is now it's being scheduled in a finite capacity approach. So now instead of having everything on that laser work center, it's chosen an appropriate machine to run that work on. And you can see it's eliminated as many of the gaps as it possibly can, way better than a human could do it. All right, so it's come in here, there's my right-click mouse doing weird things. It's come in here and it's generated this schedule. This purple is our setup time, the green is the run time, and this is something I could hand out to the shop floor immediately. So the idea behind this is, most of the time, I don't even have to look at this. The only time I have to look at this is if I do have unscheduled orders, like I didn't, within that 30 days, I couldn't schedule an order, or maybe if I want to check out my late orders, things like that. But ideally, I run this thing in the morning and I hand it out to the shop, and as a scheduler and a planner, I don't really have to do anything as far as scheduling goes. No dragging and dropping, we eliminate all of that stuff. Now, if I want to drag and drop, I can still select this and drag and drop it and move it around. But ideally, you would never have to do that ever again. It's smart enough to know that, hey, if one of my machines, like this particular machine here, gets too busy, there's a possibility of using an alternate machine. This one might be slower, more expensive, whatever, but it'll say, okay, even with all those penalties, I'm going to use this instead because it results in an overall better schedule than if I let it run on its preferred machine. We can also do things like account for labor and tooling constraints and things like that. So in here, I can come in and say I can limit my welding labor so that on my second shift, maybe I lose one of the welders, and now I'm only scheduling one of these welding booths instead of both of them. So there's all sorts of things we can do. We can eliminate the setup time, everything else. But really what it amounts to is an automated production schedule. I hit the button, a minute or so later, I've got a schedule I can actually send out to the shop floor without even reviewing it in a lot of cases. We've got customers that are billion-dollar parts plants. That's exactly what they do. In the morning, this thing spits out and it's immediately available on the terminals on the shop floor. And then they do it again for the evening shift. and that's it, because it takes into account any machine downtime or the progress in the first shift and all those sorts of things to update the schedule appropriately. Okay, so all automated production scheduling takes all the hassle out of production scheduling. You never have to worry about sitting there dragging and dropping ever again, probably. Okay. Now, once that's done, you know, we may want to record what we're doing in the shop floor in real time. So we do have a solution called Shop Floor Insight that I can go in there and actually record labor time and all of those sorts of things right on the shop floor. Now, you don't need that to use MX APS, but that is ideal because what we're doing is we're getting that real-time feedback from the shop floor and what's happening. And a production planner, a salesperson, all those people can actually see what's happening. Customer phones up and say, hey, what's the status of my job? You can jump in and go, oh, well, it's, you know, almost finished because we're on the third operation and it's been going for an hour. So yeah, it'll be done today, right? We can do those sorts of things because we've got that real-time feedback from the shop floor. So the way this works with barcoding, and you can do it paperless, so no barcodes, like touch screen, that type of thing, or we can use barcodes. So I'll walk up to the terminal. I'm going to scan my badge to identify myself. It opens up my time card, and then I simply scan the activity that I'm working on today. And that's it. So I'm scanning this activity. I've started my work. I walk off. You know, I can lock the terminal by scanning my badge again. I walk off. I come back an hour later. I scan my badge again to unlock the terminal, and then you know, then I'm going to do some cleanup, let's say. And that's it. It's 2 beeps. It's like the Roadrunner cartoons, right? Beep, beep. I run off and do my work. It calculates the amount of time I spent on that activity, starts my next activity. And this is non-productive, so we can do production orders, non-productive time, jobs, service orders, fixed assets. We can do all that real-time capture. And there's a lot to it. I'm not going to get into the details, but you know, we can do consumption, output, quality, work instructions, all of those sorts of things can be handled in here just by a quick little beep of a barcode. All right, so we've done a bunch of stuff. We've entered sales orders, used all the goodies that we've got available for managing those sales orders well, the drag and drop, and the printing, everything else. We've planned those orders with an enhanced planning pack. We've received them with the barcode scanner. We've planned them and scheduled them with our automated production planner, which is MX APS. We've captured real-time shop information with Shop Floor Insight. And now that production is done, and we're now ready to ship this product out. Okay, so the first question is, well, what can I ship today? You know, what do I have available that I can ship today? So, well, what we do is we go in and we open up the order fulfillment worksheet. So the easiest way to do it is OFW, bring up the order fulfillment worksheet. And what this does is it tells me what I can ship today. So what it's doing is it's going through all my orders. I've got 500 or so orders in here, and it's going through and it's calculating what I can actually ship and telling me very specifically what I'm able to ship today. So this first one here is a transfer order, and it's telling me, yes, I can ship that, but I first have to move some product out of my bulk storage area into my warehouse so that I'm able to pick that product. So if you have the advanced warehousing turned on, it'll give you instructions like that. This one here is telling me, hey, it's partially available to ship. And when I look at the details, these are all the lines on that sales order. And this first one here, I need to ship 15, but I've only got 6 in stock. So it's only partially allocated that inventory. So that's what this partial says here. And some of these others are fully available to ship, and I could ship them as it is. So it tells me it's partially available to ship, and it's also partially allocated. So this is kind of a line level availability. And this one here, this is set up to ship complete by the customer of the sales order. So even though I have inventory that I could potentially ship to this customer, it's flagged as ship complete. So it says it's not available to ship. Now, the way it does this is it goes through from top to bottom. So on this particular item, if there's another order that needs this item, right, if I come in here and look at, you know, sort of my requirements, if there are other orders, which there are lots because I'm short, you know, 107 of these things, other orders won't be able to ship anything because I've used the 6 that I have for this order here. So as it goes through the orders, it allocates what I have available to the orders based on my priority. And the default priority, the default sequence, is by shipment date. So what it's doing is it's saying, hey, my orders that were supposed to ship the earliest get first crack at any of the inventory, which means it automatically is going to manage your back orders for you. Your back orders, the ones that were supposed to ship last month or last week, when new inventory arrives, you're automatically going to get the crack at the first crack at the inventory, and those are going to ship before we ship any of the newer orders. So it can handle that back order allocation for you automatically. But this is the default, right? Doing it by the shipment date. If I want to do it by other criteria, like maybe I want to ship my, take care of my biggest customers first. So I'm doing it now by order value. I could also do it by customer or, country or carrier, like I want to do all my UPS orders first or whatever. So now I'm coming in, I'm doing it by the order value. So now you can see some of these are not available to ship, but when I change that sort to order value and I recalculate my allocation, it's going to come in. And you can see now there's a bunch of stuff I can ship because we're not doing it by date anymore. We're doing it by the order size. And now there is product I can allocate for shipment to those customers. Right? Now, when I'm done this, let's say I come in and I'm done, I can select these guys and I can say, create my picks. So if you're using warehouse capability, the inventory picks or warehouse picks, that'll automatically create my picks, and it might combine those picks or those sales orders into a single pick, or split one sales order up into multiple picks, whatever you set up when you hit that create pick. So we can do batch picking, wave picking, all sorts of things, and it'll generate those picks for me automatically. Or if I'm just using sales orders, I hit pick instruction, and it'll print all the picks for these particular orders. Okay. Now, once those picks are generated, guess what happens? We go back out onto the handheld device, and we start picking. So there's a couple of things I can do here. One is, when we generate those picks, you can actually print those out, right? And a lot of people do that because if you have a paper copy of the pick ticket, that means, hey, there's paper on the printer, there's work to do. I can drop that piece of paper off at shipping so they know what to do with it as well. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the pick app, and it's going to give me a list of all the picks available in the system. So I don't have to have the paper, but again, I could just scan the barcode. I'm going to open up, pick number 4 here. And when I do that, it's going to tell me everything that I need to pick in the environment. And the way I've got it set up, as soon as I find my barcodes for the bins. So what it does is it tells me which bin to go to. So this is aisle 1, shelf 0, bin 1, and so forth. So aisle 1, aisle 2. And there's lots of different ways you can visualize this. You can have one screen that shows me one entry at a time, or when I'm done, it shows me the next screen with the next entry. Down at the bottom, we have the ability to enable fact boxes, so you can turn on fact boxes for pick instructions or pictures or whatever the heck you want to show on the screen, you can. So you can tailor this the way you like. But in this case, I've just got a list of items and bins I need to pick. So the default behavior is I want to go out and I want to scan the bin that I'm picking from so that we validate we're picking from the right bin. If you don't have bins enabled, you don't have to scan the bin. Or you can turn off the bin scanning entirely, which I've done. It just says scan item. So I don't actually have to scan the bin if I don't want, but I'm going to scan, this bin 0201, so it knows where I'm picking from. And then I simply scan the item that I'm picking from that bin. So I'm going to scan our friendly 1908-S again. Optionally shows me the picture again, and I enter the quantity I've picked, or optionally enter it. I just hit enter there. And now the system knows I've picked that for, and we're good to go. And you can set it up so that if you want to, not see the ones that are fully picked, they can just disappear off the screen as you go. So it's about as simple as that. Scan bin, scan item, enter quantity. Or if you don't have bins enabled or don't want to scan the bin, you scan item, optionally enter the quantity, and that's how you execute your pick. Now there's a bunch more stuff you can do. We've got tote picking in there for, high volume sort of e-commerce stuff. We've got the ability to palletize while I'm picking. I can drill down onto any of these items to get more detail about those items. There's a ton of stuff you can do within the picking application, but the basics are bin, item, quantity, and we're done. And then when I'm done, it registers the pick and now makes it available for shipping. So that's all I do. I go in and I scan a bunch of stuff into the picking application, and we can now go out and ship it. So let's actually have a look at what shipping looks like. And I'm going to show you very briefly, well, actually on that order fulfillment worksheet, I had a bunch of those shipping actions there as well. I'll just show you that real quick. So, all of these things are related to shipping, package worksheet, auto pack, get label, those sorts of things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you the Order Ship Express. Okay, so what this is the free tool. So we have Dynamic Ship, which is a full-blown shipping solution, does LTL shipping, rate shopping across carriers, you know, automated customs submission like international shipments, ton of stuff. It is a very robust high-end shipping solution. What I'm showing you now is actually very good for a lot of people. So Order Ship Express is the free tool. And I've got the sales order here, this bike. I need to ship some of these guys out. So what do? I just say, hey, I'm going to create some shipping labels. So I create shipping label. And here I can choose the carrier. If I haven't already chosen it, I can come in here and I'm going to say it's going to be UPS ground. We'll say for this one, I think this is one I can use. And then I'm going to say I need a 12 by 18 by 6 box. You can use whatever units of measure you like. And it's going to be 15 pounds. Again, you can use set up and use whatever units of measure you like. And maybe I can even have a standard UPS package size that gets me better rates or whatever. But that's my box. I'm shipping this one box. I can have multiple boxes or whatever. Shipping that one box. And now I want, and maybe the customer's on the phone and says, well, what's it going to cost me for shipping? Well, I can get the rate before I generate a shipping label. I can go in there and say, oh, well, it's going to cost you 20 bucks. This is what it's costing me. That's based on my account number with UPS. If you don't have a UPS account number and you're in the US, you can get discounted rates on UPS and USPS. But again, this list of carriers here, these could be whatever you like. You can have 3 carriers in here. You can have, like I said, Purolator, Canada Post, or USPS, or FedEx, or whatever you want, whatever 3 carriers you want in there, and you can do this type of rate investigation. And if you use Dynamic Ship, you've got access to about 300 different carriers you can use. Okay. Now, let's say he says, okay, well, yeah, you know, I need a signature on that. I need to make sure somebody signs for it. So I'll set the adult signature, and we'll see if that changes the rate at all. Yes, it goes up by quite a bit if I need to get a signature, and that's my new price that I'm charging the customer. Yep, we're good. Let's get the label. And now what it's going to do, oh, I forgot. I've set this up to actually do a cloud print. So we're not actually going to see the label because it's going to try and print on somebody's printer. Oh, okay, good. I turned it off. That's awesome. Normally that would just print on somebody's printer. What I've got here is just what that label would look like. And this is a sample label, but you know, it's a UPS label. It prints out on the printer, whether it's a label printer or just a laser printer, and you tape it onto the box, whatever you want to do. That's my label. All right. So that's all I had to do. And then what it did was it automatically added in that shipping charge onto the sales line with my cost and what I'm charging the customer. I can change this if I like. It brought in the tracking number for me automatically. So if you've got a customer portal or whatever, it's got all of that detail for you. Simple as that. You know, click a button, enter which packages I'm shipping, pop out my labels, and I'm done. That's all I need to do. If I want to go in and reprint the label or refund the label or generate a return label, I can come in, I can look at the labels I've previously done, I can reprint it or do a refund on that label if I want to avoid it, that sort of thing, or create that return label. So if I want to put a return shipping label in the box for the customer, maybe this is a return shipment, I can do that. So that's all part of Order Ship Express. It's all free. If you check out our online video, it spends the first 5 minutes showing you how to set it up, because that's about how long it takes to set up. Well, maybe 15 minutes to set up Order Ship Express, and you can be printing your own shipping labels from Dynamic Ship. All right, so that kind of covers off what I wanted to go through today. Everything from sort of what we can do from the sales order entry through the planning and the barcoding and, all of those sorts of things, all the way out to the shipping side of it as well.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Mark.
No problem.
Let me go back and share my screen. There we go. So just for the quick wrap up, a few items to cover off for those that are watching this recording and new to Endeavour. We've been around for 34 years now, close to 100 consultants, thousands of implementations and upgrades, lots of clients, and obviously a talented team. Operating 3 key brands, Endeavour Solutions for all of our Business Central, Dynamics 365, Cloud, Integrated ERP, and CRM together. GP Support North for specialized team on Dynamics GP, and our newest addition, purely CRM team, focusing on mid-size and large Dynamics 365 CRM applications. 3 lines of business: advisory, implementations, and ongoing optimization and support. Long story short, we're here to help you make your business better. We have the experts, and as well as can extend our reach and borrow some of the experts from Mark and his team, and really make your Business Central systems sing and achieve the results that you're looking for. Feel free to reach out to Trish, James, or Steve, also Shannon on our team, as we continue to grow and expand across Canada and the US. I did want to also share that we have a few great landing pages within our Endeavour Solutions site, so endeavorsolutions.ca. Wiggle your way over to Business Central, or as you can see in the navigation here, clients we support, and you can choose some of our industry pages, whether it be the reseller, wholesaler page, transportation logistics page, or manufacturing page. And each one of them have some highlights on InsightWorks and how it works with Business Central. This is an example on the manufacturing page, and as you scroll down, it talks about device licenses, which are not standard, and it's a special order from Endeavour to be able to support the barcode scanners and smart computers that Mark showed today. And as highlighted here, if you click on the whole manufacturing overview, we have an amalgamation of shop floor information, WMS information, and shipping information all together. So hoping to make your lives easier as you educate yourselves and go through your journey. And upon conclusion, obviously reach out to Endeavour, and our team is here to help guide you through any of your next steps. So with that in mind, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Within GoToWebinar, we do have the ability to ask some questions. You can type in questions into the chat component. I think it's actually called questions. Mark and I can take a quick peek and answer anything on the fly. Otherwise, save your questions and reach out to your favorite Endeavour consultants or the Endeavour support desk, and they can point you in the right direction. Or as previously shared, Trish, James, or Steve, or Shannon on our team. Okay, I don't see any immediate questions. One that has come up in the past is how they get your applications, Mark. They are listed on the App Store. However, well, the free ones you can download and play with yourself. The other ones I would recommend you reach out to the Endeavour support desk just to make sure that everything is attached properly to your tenant, to your billing, and ultimately if there's some services on Endeavour's part to help you integrate and implement those applications, then that would be the preferred approach. There is lots of documentation. If you do want to self-implement and self-support that, then that's something we can discuss as well, or even down into a sort of co-development and co-integration. Well, everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.